How to prepare for bankruptcy court. I'm here with Luke Homen, one of the largest filers in Oklahoma, to answer this question and help us unpack how to prepare for bankruptcy court for someone who's never been through bankruptcy. Luke, help us out here.
Sure. All right. So let's talk about two different things. How to prepare for bankruptcy court, meaning I'm going to file a bankruptcy, and also what we call your court appearance, which is technically your Section 341 meeting of creditors. So let's break it down into those two parts.
Sure. So the first step, number one.
I would say the biggest thing is get an understanding of your debts.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of people don't actually know, do I have 10,000 of debt? Do I have 40,000 debt? And some of what makes that difficult is medical creditors, payday loans, they don't always report to their credit bureaus.
Mhm.
So you're going to have to take some time with pen and paper and just think through your situation. How much are my credit cards? How much are my loans? How much do I think I owe? And not even exact numbers.
Mhm.
But before you really start talking to a bankruptcy attorney or approaching bankruptcy court, the biggest thing to really get a handle on is how much are my debts at all?
You know what's interesting about that? I would never think that people would come and say, I don't know what my debts are.
It's
But
very
that you see that, huh?
it's very common because here's the natural reaction. At some point, you just get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You can't handle all the stress. You don't open the envelopes anymore. I had a case. This is the first case I took after I opened my law firm. And the gal told me, I don't even know how much my debts are. They're just in a bag. And I said, okay, well, just bring me the bag,
Bring me the bag.
all your unopened envelopes. And it was 3 shopping bags, like giant shopping bags full of unopened mail for the last 4 years. It was hundreds and hundreds of creditors. I just opened my law firm. I didn't have a staff. I spent like 3 days typing in all her creditors. She hadn't even opened the mail in 3 years
Yeah.
and she didn't want, she knew it was bad.
And
But
yeah,
she wanted,
collection companies and charge-offs get sold to one collection company and another collection company. I mean, it becomes, like you said, overwhelming. I see this confusion with the client, right? That like they circle the wagon of bankruptcy for sometimes years. It's like, well, maybe I should, maybe I should. They become cash only citizens. Well, I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm going to somehow figure it out as if like they're going to get an inheritance or like some monster bonus, as opposed to just, no, understand where you're at and your life is going to improve dramatically, right?
right.
Yeah.
Well, the easier ones, let's say you had somebody who was making good money and they lost their job. So they were able to live off their credit cards. So their debt is probably just 3 very large credit card balances. That's easy to figure out. But a lot of these folks who make less money or have less access to credit or have seen lots and lots of medical providers, it's going to take a minute just to sit down and figure out, let's just start guessing. Let's start estimating and figure out what this even looks like.
What happens if you miss a debt? Like, let's just say, oh my gosh, I forgot this collection company and it's not reported to the bureaus. Like what happens if you miss it?
Let me give you a long answer. The first thing you want to do is amend your bankruptcy petition. So if you forgot a debt and you still haven't filed your bankruptcy, you just add it to the bankruptcy petition. But if you've already filed the bankruptcy, the first thing that you want to do is amend the bankruptcy petition. The court probably charges a filing fee of about $33, and then send notice to that creditor. And most of the time, that's good enough, especially if you catch it fast enough. Sometimes it doesn't matter, okay? And I never want to promise this to clients, but if you have a bankruptcy where none of the creditors get any money at all, if you forgot to list a creditor, there's a line of case law from judges that says no harm, no foul. Okay, you forgot to list that one creditor, but nobody got anything, so it's not a big deal. But if the trustee distributes even $1, then that creditor has been prejudiced and that debt won't be discharged in your bankruptcy.
Got it.
So, best advice, figure out your debts early. If you find a debt that you're missing, and open your mail, right? Especially after you file your court case. Open your mail, and if there's a new debt, add it to your bankruptcy. Because if you don't, you risk potentially not having that debt discharged.
How to prepare for bankruptcy court. Number one, know your debt, right? And that when you're going in to either file a bankruptcy with an attorney or filing what we call pro se on your own, you got to know your debt, right?
Yes.
What's next?
Gather and have ready your financial documents and have at least an understanding of what they say.
Okay.
Because when you go to court, you're going to have to testify that you submitted true and correct copies of all your financial documents. And you're probably going to have to testify that you've read and understand what they are. Now, that doesn't mean you understand what a tax return is, but there's a huge difference between this is my document and I don't even know what this piece of paper is. So make sure you gather all your financials,
So financial documents, that would mean tax returns,
bank
bank
statements,
statements,
uh,
check stubs.
right, those kinds of things.
Okay, so simple things that we all know. We're not talking balance sheets and profit loss statements for an individual Chapter 7 bankruptcy or 13, right?
Usually not. Most people, it's just your W-2 paychecks.
Okay.
But you need to be able to testify that you've submitted true and accurate documents.
Yeah, right.
And when you file bankruptcy, there's going to be a lot of questions in the petition on how much money did you make? What does your tax return say? What is in your bank account right now? And so being able to find your financial documents and make sure they're really yours and they're accurate, well, that's an important step too.
For the most part, when you talk bankruptcy court, you're talking about the 341 meeting where for the most part it's done by Zoom.
There's nothing comparable on TV, right?
Yeah.
On TV, the classic example, you got like a Perry Mason courtroom, or you've got, I don't know, Law and Order. And it's this intense, dramatized, and they're making up court objections that don't even exist. And that's nothing like the 341 meeting of the creditors.
No.
Boring. And
I
that's
mean,
why it's on TV.
well, and like you've said before to me, it's like a checklist of these predetermined questions.
Yeah.
You-
You know,
is this-
literally has mandatory questions that have to be asked at every 341 creditor meeting. Did you read your bankruptcy petition? Did you sign it? Did you provide a true copy of your tax return? These are the kinds of questions that you're going to answer, but that's why it's important.
Yeah.
Submit a true copy of your tax return, to read and sign your papers. Like, these are not hard things, but fundamental to the bankruptcy system is truth and honesty and full disclosure of your finances. And more than anything else, that's what you need to do to be ready for court is be truthful and give full honest disclosure of all your finances.
So how to prepare for a bankruptcy court? One, find out what you owe.
Yeah.
Two, just understand your financial documents, your tax return, your W-2, your paycheck stubs. But the third thing is be truthful.
Oh, absolutely.
You've always been, obviously, attorneys are advocates of being truthful, but this is very, 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 very important when we're coming to bankruptcy court because it could throw your entire case out.
Right. And the most important thing is in bankruptcy, tell the truth and disclose your whole finances.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody's capable of. Everybody has the ability to do that. And if you do that, your court's going to go well.
Yeah. The funny thing is it really, that third point of being truthful is actually like the key to life as well. Like if you're truthful, even though sometimes you don't want to be truthful, like life works out better
Right.
for people who are truthful, right?
Yeah.
It's not complicated, but it's a good way to prepare for bankruptcy court. Is there anything else besides those three things?
One last tip. When you actually file the bankruptcy, you put together a bankruptcy petition, 50, 70, 100 pages. It's a lot. Before your court hearing, I would just glance through it because there's a chance the trustee might ask a question about what you put on there. And you want to be able to know what you filed with the court. And the trustee might say, hey, I see that you've got a 1997 Mazda. How many miles are on that? And you might think, I don't own a Mazda, but maybe there's a typo and your bankruptcy petition says there is. So if I could have one last piece of advice, it's just read over your bankruptcy
Glance through it.
one last time, glance through it, because one of the questions that you're going to get asked at the meeting of creditors is, are there any errors or omissions or corrections you want to make? So if you looked at your bankruptcy petition and somehow your attorney or you accidentally typed in a Mazda that you don't have, well, you've got an opportunity to say, there's this something that's wrong, and I just want to come forward and say, I spotted that. And that's another opportunity that you have at this meeting of the creditor to come forward and say, hey, there was a glitch. We'll fix it. And then you can amend your bankruptcy petition and fix the glitch.
Yeah, and the thing is about this petition, it's not like 8-point font, 70 pages. It's like formed, it's like boxes and like you're looking at things. This is an easy glance through.
A- And a lot of it won't apply to most people. There's a section on farm equipment. There's a section on business equipment. There's a section on toxic waste. Those sections aren't going to apply to you. So just realize that's one to skip because I don't have a farm. But if you do, fill that section out.
Fill it out. Okay, 4 things prepare for bankruptcy court. 1, know your debt. 2, understand your financial documents. 3, tell the truth. And 4, glance at the petition before your 341. As we said, bankruptcy court, it's not in person. For the most part, it's on Zoom, different in different districts. But it's that 341 meeting, your court appearance is 4 to 6 minutes long.
Right.
It's nothing hard.
It's not gotcha questions. It's not Perry Mason. This is, did you read it? Did you sign it? Is it true? Did you submit a true copy of your tax return? These are just, you can look up the questions. They're not gotcha questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke.